Hi guys, or should I say hi guys. So I've been dying to make this video on Black Panther spirituality, because ever since I saw the trailer and the movie, I was like, I caught a lot of like good juju from like what I saw. There's a lot of symbolism, there's a lot of stuff going on, and so I went through the film like a bajillion times, and I wrote down everything that I caught in relation to spirituality, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, just in case if you guys didn't notice, or maybe you guys did notice, or maybe now you need to see it again. So we're just gonna get right into it. The movie opens up with the universe, space, the stars, looking up at the stars, and the significance of what they bring to you. And in this case, what they bring to you is a meteorite made of vibranium. So this is, to me, like a note for those people who are like, oh, I don't know how astrology, like how what's going up there affects me down here. This is how that happens. You get a meteorite in your land, and then you have to do something about it. So this is a kind of a big nod to the ancestors as well, and to astrology, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about Shuri. But I really wanted to take a note of this because it notes how what's going on in the universe and how that can affect us here. So that's like the beginning of it. So we're gonna start, and we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about the next thing, which is that the five tribes were at war until divine intervention in the form of a goddess came down to move the direction of the narrative. And the way that happened is that the first Black Panther got a vision from Bastet, the Egyptian goddess of warfare, protection, protector of cats. And also, side note, cats are also the guardians of the underworld, so that's another ancestor nod right there. In one of the things I've read about Bastet, like during my Egyptian studies, is that she's a punisher of humans who offend the gods. So this is something that I wanted to talk about because the tribes were just constantly at war even after the meteorite struck. So it was like nothing was changing. They were just continuing to fight. And so it took a god to come down. It took that divine intervention to come down and be like, no, here's this herb, make yourself stronger, like stop fighting. So going back to the herb, so the herb that Bastet led him to was heart-shaped. It granted him superhuman strength, speed, and instincts. And so he became the first Black Panther. We are going to be talking about herbs and working with herbs throughout the film because there's a lot of focus in this movie about herbs, plants, and eating. And the way I'm going to start this is by talking about Killmonger's first scene kill. His first scene kill in this movie was with poison. And the reason why this is important is because it is an old school way of killing without fighting. It is very traditional to many areas of the world, killing with like certain plants that are poisonous and stuff. Very traditional. Even though they don't say what that poison is, it could have been like medicinal, but that's all pulled from plants anyway. So one of the things that he does say in this, he says to the British lady at the museum who like came to speak to him about the different pieces in the museum, and he tells her, you have so many people watching you, but you're not even paying attention to what you eat. And this is important because, and I wrote this, I said, which is important because his whole arc is focused on his drive to create change in a community on a larger scale, and you cannot fuel your drive if you fuel yourself with food that will kill you. So this is the concept of the you are what you eat. And so when we're talking about plants, and we're talking about, if you want to talk about how it relates in America and how that relates to the African American community and other communities as well, the cheapest food in this country are like really bad food. And so yes, you can get like something for $1 at McDonald's, but it's not gonna fuel you and like fuel your body and nurture your body in the right way. And so they make a note about, one, there's this herb here that just gave you superpowers, super speed, super instincts, super strength. And then there's food out there that you will eat that will literally kill you. And so it goes back to his whole idea, like what is fueling him and how he is taking in that fuel. You cannot make yourself stronger by eating bad. So that it, and your body is your vessel for your spirit, so you need to be nurturing it, and this goes into chakra work. So when your chakras are imbalanced, you can manifest real life problems. You can manifest physical real life problems. When you feed your body bad food, you are also helping to block that chakra, but you're also helping to manifest those physical problems. When you feed your body good food, even though you have chakras that are blocked, you can help open up those chakra spaces. So it is important to pay attention to food, herbs, because it really goes back to nature in here. Okay, so the next thing that he says in here that I also want to take a note of, he says, he makes a note to bring up the ancestors as a reminder to the audience that his concern has nothing to do with people that don't look like him, which he brings up again later in the movie. And this, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but I want to make a note of it now, is the whole avenging your ancestors versus honoring your ancestors. T'Challa and Killmonger do this throughout the film in different ways. You can avenge them or you can honor them. In Wakanda and the way everything plays out, they're very much about honoring their ancestors, not necessarily avenging them. Even though if you go into Civil War, and not like, let's say you didn't watch Captain America Civil War, T'Challa is very much trying to avenge his father's death. So there's different ways to see it, but throughout the film, the culture in Wakanda is to honor your ancestors. Even though, even with Wakabi, he wants revenge. He wants to see death. You know what I mean? But that kind of comes into play in many ways in the way throughout the film, the way it plays out. It doesn't really play out well to necessarily avenge them. Instead of, it plays out better if you honor them. And if you help heal those karmic wounds. So now we are going to talk about ancestor work, because there's a lot of it in this movie. So there's a lot of, you can see the ancestor plane, the astral plane in here. There's ancestor communication and healing ancestor karma and karmic debt, and how that manifests into real life issues. And the way this happens in the film is in the second time that T'Challa has to go into the astral plane to talk to his dad. He basically confronts him, and then he goes back. He makes a conscious choice to go back, because he knows that he needs to heal that which his dad created, that issue that got created into an actual physical form. Like, it manifested on real life. This idea manifested on a physical form and took over in a way that he didn't find correct. So so that's kind of like another focus on here, which is you work with your ancestors, again, honoring versus avenging. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the initiation to become king, and how this is a ritual. This was very obvious to me. It was actually really awesome to look at. So there was a ritual, a tribal combat by the water, and it was by a waterfall. And water is known to be cleansing, purifying, and essential to continue life. So the whole country was gathered to see and witness the continuation of their country, basically. And so he had to get his powers removed with a mixture of herbs, because he had to drink this potion again. And so it focuses on what plants bring you. It can take away your power, and it can bring you power as well. So again, after you watch this video, go eat a banana or something, because I'm getting a lot of food downloads. I'm also hungry, so we're gonna adjust that. So that's something to note. The whole entire becoming king is an initiation, and it's a ritual. So after he gets initiated, he goes into he drinks the heart-shaped herb concoction again, and then he gets buried in red sand. And I took a note of this because sand is very spiritual, It is composed of minerals, quartz, and rock fragments, connecting us back to the earth energy. And red is significant because it's connected to the root chakra, so it focuses on our foundation and our ancestors as well. So that's the other thing I wrote down. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the divine feminine because it takes a huge focus in this film. I wrote that T'Challa's relationship with his mother and the women in the film play a big role, and probably just a little bit bigger than his relationship with his dad. That's just my opinion. So I wrote, this movie focuses a lot on how women heal in many ways, emotionally, with technology, psychologically, and with their power. Being powerful in this movie could be as simple as just being kind. His relationship with women throughout the movie is so strong. In the end, they're the only people that he can count on and trust. And I say this because when T'Challa was in the astral plane, and he asked his dad how he can best protect Wakanda, what his dad told him was to surround himself with people that he can trust. And throughout the movie, T'Challa chose to surround himself with women, and then the only men that he chose to trust ended up betraying him, which was Wakabi, and he was his best friend. So, women. Let's see, because we're like busting through these. I also wanted to note that Okoye was driving the ship in a half lotus pose. I totally peeped that. I wonder, like, I don't know if you guys peeped that. Like, leave me a comment, because I was just like, you told me you gotta meditate to drive this ship. I just loved it. I loved it so much. I just loved it. Let me see. Okay, so I did want to talk about how the Wakanda Forever salute is a nod to the Egyptian burials, the crossed arms. The director actually spoke about this, and that is another nod at ancestors, because in ancient Egyptian mythology and just all the things, death was actually celebrated and it was not feared. So you would be prepping to die your entire life almost, especially if you were like higher up there. You would be prepping to die, and so your purpose and your connection to death was not negative. It was not bad. You needed to prove that you were worthy on the other side, so you needed to do the work. So this goes, again, another nod to ancestor work, and just turning it into a positive thing, you know. And like this whole movie is a nod to death, and like we don't need to have such negative associations to it, because there's a lot of good that comes from it as well. Let me see. So we did talk about food. I also wanted to note that M'Baku uses leather and animal skin, sticking to more traditional. So the Jabari sticks, like, they live up in the mountain, so they stick to a more traditional attire. But he joked that they were vegetarians, and I was like, but you guys are wearing leather though. So I don't know, I need somebody to confirm that. But that's another nod at food. Like, food kind of kept coming up throughout the film in like really random ways, and you're just like, so yeah, so that's like one thing. Another thing that I noticed, oh, okay, I guess I can talk about this a little bit. So vibranium, which is the metal that crashed in with the meteorite, is the strongest metal on Earth, it is said to be. And in the film it is said that that the plant life, when it crashed, it also affected the plant life, which means that it also affected the animals, and it hinted at the super herbs and super power like plants that were growing, because they eat from the land. So this is seen later when the animals battle, and they chose a rhino as well, which is very powerful. Rhinos are very dangerous. They're not like, you can't really tame rhinos, like they're very dangerous creatures. So it's another nod at, okay, when you take care of the land, and you know how this happened and it made the land stronger, but you have animals that they're not gonna know what vibranium is. They're just out here eating. And so when you're eating, like, let's say they're eating animals, they're also consuming that. So, and again, it goes back to plants. So if they're consuming the plants and the vegetables in the area, they're also consuming vibranium. So they're making themselves stronger as well. So this definitely hinted at the heart-shaped herb, because I'm pretty sure that that's how it kind of came together. Like vibranium hit and it evolved through the earth into this thing. Which is why I guess the tribes were all like, they had to keep fighting because they didn't know what to do with the thing until like they had this herb. So that's just like to keep in mind the food that they were eating. Everything else really goes into the second half of the video, which is going to focus a lot on the colors, the attire, and the symbology behind it. And we're going to talk about astrology a little bit in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment and or wait till tomorrow, because I'm gonna post it tomorrow. And all my links and stuff are gonna be down below. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Anyway, have a good day. Kind of forever.